Welcome to Grim Tapes. This is episode 7 of the Apocalypse. If you haven't seen episode 1 yet, now's your chance to catch up. Trust me, you'll want to see how it all began. Congratulations to the newest survivors joining this dark journey. Caleb, the Moonchild, Phoebe, and Delta. Straight from the comment section. Let's see how long you can last out there. If you're enjoying the chaos, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. It helps spread the infection. The word. Now, let's get back to the nightmare. The cold wind blew across the rooftop, thick with the stench of burning trash and distant decay. Down below, the horde still surrounded the compound like a noose. Slow, circling, patient. Garen didn't blink. He raised the walkie-talkie to his mouth. "Keenan, you in position?" Static popped. Then a young, steady voice crackled through. "Yeah, Seabird's anchored just off the Bellwick pier. Lisa's here with me." From the rooftop, I could just make out the small fishing boat, bobbing like a ghost on the dark water. Garen's tone stayed even. "Good. Reach Sawyer. Tell him. It's almost time." Keenan switched the channel. "Sawyer, you copy?" A pause. Then a gruff, older voice answered, tired but alert. "I'm here. What's the word, kid?" Keenan hesitated for a moment, then glanced toward the rising smoke on shore. "No details. Garen says, when you hear the signal, jump in. Guns hot. That's it." Sawyer was silent for a breath too long. Then, "That's supposed to reassure me or scare the hell out of me?" Keenan smirked into the radio. "Both." Sawyer exhaled. "Copy that. We'll be ready. Just give us the signal." On the rooftop, Garen lowered the radio slowly. "They're in position." He turned toward Rex and Rick, who had just climbed up the fire escape, red-faced and out of breath. "Did you do it?" Rick gave a thumbs up, half grinning. Rex just nodded and patted the detonation trigger clipped to his vest. Garen gave a slow, satisfied smirk. He looked through his binoculars one last time, scanning the horde, the streets, the death below. Then he said, calm and cold, "Let's give Sawyer his signal." Rex pulled the trigger, and the earth roared. A blast lit up the horizon, bright and violent. C4 charges ripped through the east side of Bellwick like thunder and stone. Fire bloomed. Undead were flung through the air like dolls in a windstorm. The horde screamed. Not like animals. Worse, confusion, panic, rage. They turned. Many ran, others froze. A few charged the fire without thought. Kanan's voice returned over the comms, breathless. "That's one way to start a conversation." Then Sawyer. "I heard it, moving in now. Let's raise hell, boys and girls." Garen clipped the walkie back to his pocket. Then he turned to us. "That's our cue. We're not here to run. We're here to end this." He pointed. "Let's move." The compound gates swung open with a grinding shriek, and we hit the ground running. Boots slammed the dirt. Metal clinked with every step. The reek of blood and gunpowder filled the air like smoke off a war drum. We weren't alone. From inside the fence, survivors poured out, eyes wide, weapons raised, a flood of desperation finally given permission to fight. Sawyer was leading the charge, machine gun barking as he sprinted through the breach like it owed him revenge. To his left, a blur of motion. Caleb, the Moonchild, a ragged bandana tied around his neck, facial scar jagged like lightning, dual handguns flashing in both hands. Left, right, left, every shot a scream. To his right, quiet as shadow. Phoebe. Her homemade arrows whistled through the battlefield like ghosts. Thwip. Thunk. Headshot. She pulled the katana from behind her back. Shing. The blade singing as it left the sheath. Then she moved in a blur. Slash, slash, slicing through infected necks with swift, precise arcs. Above us in a watchtower, a shadow watched. Delta. Perched in the tower, masked, silent. Each sniper shot came like thunder. Clean, precise, inhumanly calm. Crack, crack. We joined the war like another wave of fire. Maria beside me, reloading without looking. Pamela behind me, blade in hand. Chris shouting warnings over the chaos. Rick and Rex were animals, diving into the horde with shotguns and fury. Garen moved through the chaos like a machine. Fists of thunder, voice a metronome of control. We were holding And for a minute, it felt possible. And for a minute, it felt possible. Then we heard it. A roar. Deep, grim, wrong. The kind of sound that doesn't belong to this world. It rattled bones. It made everyone, man and monster, stop mid-motion. Even the infected froze. Then it appeared. Breaker. He rose above the crowd like a nightmare sculpted from bone and rage. Skin cracked like marble. One eye burned molten red. His arms were layered in torn body-wrapped muscle. He stood atop a wrecked car like a throne, and with one hand he lifted another vehicle, a sedan, and hurled it across the battlefield. It crashed down on a group of survivors. They didn't even have time to scream. Metal crumpled like paper. Blood sprayed the ground. One of the survivors' legs twitched beneath the twisted door before going still. I froze. The whole line broke. Sawyer's face went pale. Chris whispered, "What is that?" Maria gripped her blade tighter, trying not to shake. Rick stared in horror. "Holy sh!" Rex looked to Garen. "Orders?" Garen didn't blink, but his jaw clenched. "We're screwed if we stay, but we're doomed if we run." Then he turned to me, grabbed my vest, pulled me in close. His voice was low, measured, final. "Evan, get them out, everyone now." I blinked. "What? No. Listen to me." His grip tightened. Kanan and Lisa are waiting at the boats. The path's clear, for now. Get them there. That's an order. My voice cracked. "You're not coming." Rick and Rex were already forming a line behind him. Rick had a belt of grenades. Rex had both hands on his axe. Both of them looked at me with eyes too calm. "Sorry, kiddo," Rick muttered. "You've still got a story to live." Rex gave a sharp grin. "You've got one more chapter to write. Unfortunately, this one's ours." "No," I shook my head, panicked. "We can do this together. Garen, please." Garen didn't respond with words, just a hand on my shoulder. Firm, final. "Protect them. That's your job now." Then he turned his back. I stood there frozen. Maria tugged on my arm. Chris was shouting. Sawyer screamed, "We need to move now!" Pamela grabbed my hand, tears streaking her dirt-covered cheeks. "Evan, please, he told us to go." And then the three of them charged. Into the swarm. Garen, voice booming like thunder. "On me." Rick, lobbing grenades with precision, laughing like a madman. "Let's light these freaks up." Rex, screaming, axe in hand, body soaked in gore. "You want a meal? Come and get it." They fought like gods. They held the line. They bought us time. I turned just before we vanished into the alley. Breaker met them in the center of the battlefield. They didn't run. They charged. And then I didn't see them anymore. Just fire and smoke, and the last roar of men who had nothing left to give except everything. I screamed. I fought to go back. Chris held me. Maria dragged me. Pamela sobbed, refusing to look back. I screamed into the dusk. "Let me go, Garin, Reich, Reeks!" But it was too late. They were already gone. The streets thundered with the sound of running feet. 60, 70. More than 75 of us were tearing through the ruins of Bellwick like our lives depended on it. Because they did. Behind us, the roar of the horde swallowed everything. Screams, gunfire, the awful sound of feet slapping pavement, and not all of them human. Caleb, Moonchild, had fallen to the rear, pistols flashing in both hands, covering the stragglers. Phoebe, her katana already slick with gore, moved like a shadow beside him, firing arrows without even stopping. Overhead, perched like a vulture with purpose, Delta picked off targets from a second-story window. Crack, headshot, crack, another one dropped. Still, they kept coming. Up front, Sawyer was barking orders. "Faster, don't look back, just move!" Pamela and Maria guided a small group of kids through a tight alley. Chris clutched the walkie-talkie, gasping for breath as he called out. "Kanan, we're 2 blocks out. What's the situation at the dock?" The static buzzed. Then Kanan's voice came in, steady and sharp. "We're ready. 6 boats, full tanks. We siphoned all we could from Bellwick's marina. Lisa handled the gas. Girl's a damn genius." I could hear the smile in his voice. "You just get here. We'll keep the engines warm." While we were drawing the horde, Kanan and Lisa had been working in silence, gliding through the edges of the city like ghosts. Finding boats, fuel, positioning every vessel. 6 boats now waited at the edge of the world, their engines humming with freedom. They did their job. Now we had to do ours. The docks came into view. The water looked like salvation. But between us and it, death. Zombies poured out of alleyways, from behind buildings, from the shadows we'd already passed. Too many. Sawyer spun around, sliding behind a car. "Line up! Hold them off! Give them time to board!" I followed, skidding into cover. Pamela, eyes fierce, drew her gun. Maria raised her rifle. Chris looked to me, nodding once. "This is our stand, man." Caleb dove in beside us, blood streaking his bandana. "Got 2 mags left, make 'em count." Phoebe, panting, wiped her blade. "We hold." Delta repositioned above, calling shots through comms. Then came the push. They charged us. Red eyes, broken limbs, starved jaws, and gnashing teeth. We fired. Pop, pop. Clack. Thunk. Blades swung. Rounds were fired. Bottlenecks were formed. Phoebe danced. Caleb roared. Chris cursed. Pamela sliced through the neck of a crawler trying to grab a child's ankle. And still, they kept coming. Cannon's voice came again. "Last group's aboard, we're pulling out." Sawyer shouted, "Fall back, fall back!" Delta dropped the last crawler with a shot through its jaw before leaping from the window and sprinting toward the boats. We ran like hell. I turned just once, just enough to see the last of the survivors boarding, Lisa waving us down from the boat with a flare stick glowing red in her hand. We jumped aboard. Engines roared. Chains dropped. The boats pulled off. We were floating, moving, alive. The screams faded behind us, some ours, some not. But we made it. We were out. Keenan was grinning as he stepped off the boat. "We did it," he exhaled, chest rising, eyes glinting in the sunlight. "We actually—" But before he could finish, Lisa ran past him, her small arms flying straight into me and Pamela. She hugged us both, tight, trembling, smiling, laughing and crying all at once. "You made it," she said. "I knew you'd come back, I knew it." Pamela crouched to hug her properly. Then Lisa pulled back and looked up with those wide, innocent eyes. "Where's Uncle Garen?" she asked. "And Uncle Rick and Uncle Rex?" I froze. The words caught in my throat like ash. Pamela's lips parted for a second, just enough for me to see the war happening behind her eyes. Then she smiled, a soft, brave, shaky smile. "They'll come back later, sweetheart," she said gently. Lisa's joy cracked. "You're lying." Her voice was small, but it pierced like glass. "You're lying!" she shouted. She turned and ran straight into Kanan's arms. He didn't speak. He just wrapped her up and held her tight, eyes locking with mine. He didn't ask. He already knew. Then it came, a low rumble. The light lit up behind us. A blast. Far away, deep inside Bellwick. We turned to look. A black column of smoke rose slowly into the air, flickering orange underneath. The last breath of a dying city. A black column of smoke rose slowly into the air, flickering orange underneath. The last breath of a dying city. It was their sign, their farewell. My knees gave out. Tears slipped down my face before I even realized I was crying. They held the line. And now they were gone. I stood at the edge of the boat with Pamela and Maria, staring back at the burning town, that cursed place where it all fell apart. We thought it was over. But then we saw him. Through the drifting haze, standing tall on the shattered dock. Breaker. His silhouette rose above the horde like a nightmare king, his red eyes glowing, body soaked in blood and soot. He stood still, then lifted his arm. And threw. 3 objects arced through the air like broken prayers. They hit the deck of our boat with sickening thuds. Thump, thump, thump. The world stopped. We stared. And there at our feet, the heads of Garen, Rex, and Rick, blood still fresh. Eyes still open, jaw clenched as if mid-battle. Pamela gasped, stumbled back in horror, hand over her mouth. Maria screamed. Lisa's cry tore through the air like something primal. "No!" she wailed, clutching Kanan, who stood frozen, lips parted, eyes hollow. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stared at those faces, at the monsters behind them, at Breaker, still watching. And then he smiled. A slow, cruel wave of mockery.